Happy to be here, and before I forget, let me thank all the sponsors that make this possible. And so, because that's how things happen, there's some costs and somebody needs to take it. And I think they're great companies. I've touched a little bit the visuals from Lumel, and they are very, very good quality. That said, today we'll talk about things that might be able to do with them, but also without them. So I want to share just very quickly a little bit of, where is it? Yeah, for those who don't know me, I'm an MVP and I've been working with Power BI for a while, and I have a blog. And in my blog, there's one of the posts that describes how we can use Visual Studio to write Tabular Editor scripts for Power BI. Yeah, so here you have really the step-by-step of all the steps that I'll be doing in the beginning of my demo. So don't worry too much about it. And then, but we'll use, of course, the environment that we'll set up to do something, yeah, because otherwise it's not very productive. And we'll see how this programming thing goes, yeah. So just to small recap. So Tabular Editor scripts, the C# scripts ones, allow us to automate tasks that we would otherwise do manually, either in Power BI Desktop or even inside Tabular Editor itself, but just manually. So we'll just write some code, and then you can either just execute the code or even store it as a macro, so that you, with the right click, you can just select some measures and execute code on them through the right click menu. Yeah. So, and it's very, very convenient. So let's start from the beginning, the very beginning, which would be this one here. So this is how a regular report could look. You see, I have very large numbers, so I'm using the functionality of units of Power BI Desktop. And I see that I'm showing this as thousands, and here on the top as millions, because there are even larger numbers. And but I have some issues with this format. It's like very, I don't know, why do I need a K in each row and a $sign? And could I just put this on the header? That would be much cleaner, don't you think? And yes, I know InfoRiver can do that, yeah. So if you have InfoRiver, maybe you can just skip. No, I'm joking. This is just an excuse to how to program in Visual Studio. Okay. Now, so before we program, though, we need first to do it by hand, and then we can automate the creation of whatever we need to do that. Yeah. So I want to achieve something like this. How did I do that? I did that with a calculation group. Yeah, if you follow me, you'll know that I do many things with calculation groups. And let's have a look at how this calculation group looks like. Right now, actually, we can even do that from the desktop. Yeah, let's do that. So we can say thank you to the team that actually build calculation groups, finally inside the desktop. So here are my calculation groups, and here we have the units. Okay, wait a minute. And we have a couple of calculation items. So they're actually pretty straightforward. From the value point of view, we're not really changing the value. Yeah, so because we are doing everything through the format string. Yeah. So if I go into the format, what I'm doing is, okay, if you're about to modify this measure or this measure, then override the format string with this format string, yeah, which has this comma before the decimal point, meaning this will show us thousands. Yeah, it will take 3 zeros away. And otherwise, if it's not on any of these two measures, then just leave the selected measure, the format string of the original measure. Yeah, that is what it does. Okay. But of course, we see that this is very nice, but we have, of course, to hard code which measures we need in, for each chart. We'll have different model, we have different measure names. We don't want to make all the measures in thousands, because maybe we have like, I don't know, a quantity which is small and it's just fine with the whole number. Or I don't know, we may have percents and stuff like that. So we don't want that everywhere. Yeah, so it's important to be able to filter by that. And this is something that will change from model to model. So we might find ourselves in a situation in which we have to recreate something by hand and do small changes. This is the perfect use case for programming, okay? So, and let's see how that will go. Okay, so for that, we are going to use Visual Studio. So if you only have Tabular Editor 2, you will need the full Visual Studio, okay? If you are lucky enough to have Tabular Editor 3, then you might get away with just using Visual Studio Code. But I will stick with the first pattern, okay? So we're assuming that you only have Tabular Editor 2, and that's why we're going to be using Visual Studio for coding, okay? Before anything else, also know that if you are going to use the Visual Studio Community Edition, your projects should be on for learning purposes or open source projects only, all right? Now, with that out of the way, we'll make sure that we install the .NET module, yeah, so that we can write C# projects inside Visual Studio. And once we have everything that installed, then we'll open Visual Studio and we'll go to clone repository. Yeah, that's the easiest way to do it, okay? Now, for the URL, we are going to use, wait a minute, here. This is, you'll find it inside this article, and this is the URL. It's in my repo, T-scripting in Visual Studio. So we copy the URL and we go back to Visual Studio and we paste it here. And now we need to provide an empty folder for all these files to come to our machine. And let me check. I have a folder ready. Yes, this one should be empty. And let's clone. Yeah, so I want you to see, oh, it's coming up on the other window. Why? Okay, wait a minute. I'll try to move that over here in a second, whenever I can get control of my machine back. Okay. Let me see. There it is. Okay, now it's very small. We want it larger. I have a few things running at the same time, so that may explain. Come on. Good. Okay, so when the solution completes downloading into your machine, whoa, let's go pretty slow. It will look something like this, yeah? Maybe I don't even have Zoomit running now. So, there you go. Well, you see that we have a couple of, we have 2 projects inside of a solution, okay? So, these projects have all the references that we need, but the local reference, there are a few things that might be different on your machine and you will need to set them up correctly. And those are the references to the Tabular Editor that you have in your machine. Yeah, you need the Tabular Editor 2 for that anyway, always, even because we need to, you know, refer to some files and you can only do that with the open source version. So we go to the references and here we need the Tabular Editor. That's the exe file, so the application file, and this is the DLL, which is in the shared in the app data folder. Yeah, so here, just to show you real quick how to find this, go to the add reference. even though that's described in the article. But basically you go to browse and browse if you don't have them there, and it's just it's quite easy. So you just type here the update thing with the percentage signs around, and you look for Tabular Editor, the regular one. No, sorry, not in roaming. You need to go one level up and go into local. Now it's when you look for Tabular Editor, and you should find it. We're in the S, okay, here, the regular one, yeah? And here you will find the DLL. And for the other one, you just need to go into your in the program files, the 32-bit one. And also here, you scroll down to Tabular Editor. There you go. And here, you would just select, sorry, the application, the one with the icon, okay? Those are the two references that you might need to fix on your machine. And you will need to do that twice because there's also in the other project as well. Yeah, once you've done that, then we need to build the solution so that it will download extra references and everything will work fine. So we build it. This is something that you cannot do in VS Code. So that's the main reason why we're using Visual Studio. We're compiling everything and create a DLL file. Okay, so it looks like it went fine. You see that we have some extra stuff. So now finally you can just start looking around at what we have. And here in the T scripts, we need still to do some setup, yeah? We could already start typing some code here, but the process of copying this code into Tabular Editor is it's a bit messy because you see we have many tabs. Also, if we need the script to have some references, in Tabular Editor we need them like together with the script, and of course in Visual Studio we have them at the top. So it's a bit messy, and of course you will need to do that many times while you develop and you debug and so on. So we're gonna do some small setup that you only need to do once, and then it's gonna be very easy to copy code back and forth. Okay, so if you scroll down, eventually you will find a method called here, copy macro. Wait, I did too far. Copy macro from VS file with DLL. Okay. So here we need to replace a few things. This is a path to the tscripts DLL file. Okay, where is this file? So basically, since we already built this one, we can right-click on the tscripts project and say, okay, open in File Explorer. And now we need to go into the bin, debug, well, or whatever you have set. And here we have plenty of DLLs and stuff. And if we look around, we'll find the tscripts DLL. Okay. Now, you might need to push the Shift key and right-click or something to get all the options. But you should be able to copy the full path. Yeah, here's access root. And since it will come with the double quotes, we can just select all of this and paste it. Okay, good. We still need two more things. And now these are much easier. We need the full path to the CS file, which we can get directly from here, copy full path. Now we'll need to preserve the double quotes because it will come without them. Okay. And just one more for the general functions one. Okay. So here, just a regular right-click, copy full path, and let's paste it here. Yeah, again, this is explained in the article, yeah, so don't worry too much about it. just bear with me. Good. Now, what should we do? Now, we need to do that only once again. And we need to bring, this is the code that we'll copy by hand into Tabular Editor, and we'll create the macro that will allow us to extract one of the scripts that we want each time, okay? So basically we need to copy this. Well, we can copy this, it doesn't really matter. But we need, at least these two rows are necessary, yeah? So we copy the whole thing. And now we are in, let's go back to Power BI, and let's open Visual Studio, Tabular Editor, sorry. External tools. Dun, dun, dun. Come on. Oh, I think it's now syncing the calculation group or something. Okay, actually we don't need it to be connected to the model, so I might just launch it from here, which is gonna be Tabular Editor. This one. I think that should open eventually. Good. And of course, we'll now go and paste that into the C# script tab. Okay. Let me make this a bit bigger. So here, this script requires requires the reference to the DLL. Yeah. So this is commented, so I need to uncomment that. I have this commented because otherwise I'll get an error inside Visual Studio. Yeah. So that's, now you understand a little bit what I'm telling you about the hassle of copying things up and down. But once you have uncommented these two rows, this is already a valid script that we can execute. And but I see that since I don't have any model connected, it does not allow me to execute it. So we're gonna connect now to the local instance. Maybe some restriction, I guess. Okay. Even though we're not gonna do anything with the model. Okay. Okay, now we already have the possibility of executing the script. So let's do this. So basically what we're doing is we're calling a method that is inside the DLL with a couple of parameters. Yeah. So you see here, we have a list of different procedures that are found inside of the Visual Studio. So if we go here, we see exactly the same name here. This, all those that are not public, yeah, so those that start with void are the ones listed. Okay, the other ones are hidden from that because, well, I needed some hidden procedures, yeah, but you can choose this one and so on, and of course we'll make a new one which we're gonna use. So if I go back to Tabular Editor, I can copy even the same one that we just copied so that we'll get a nicer experience. So I copy this same one. And like, what happened? Now I have it in my clipboard. So if I select everything, I delete it, and now I just Control V to paste it. You see, now I have all those no copy comments are gone. Oh wait, but I'm getting the previous one. Why is this? Because I didn't save. I can only read the saved file. So this forces you also to save your work, which I think is a feature, you know, because then you don't lose your work. So you can go back now, and then what are we going to do? Well, since I have the Windows V, or still knows, hopefully, yeah, still has my previous Okay, so this is what we had, so I don't have to copy it again. And now I'm going to execute it again. Okay, so I copy. Now hopefully this will go fine. And I paste it. Now I have the nice script with the right paths and everything. And now it's time to save this as a macro because we're going to be using this a lot. Yeah, get macro data bash. Yeah, because I have a few others. Okay, and we're going to just select the model. I mean, it doesn't really matter. This is the always visible one, so why not? Okay. And now the good thing is that I don't need this script here anymore. I can delete it. And I can always come here and go into macros and get macro data bash. And I get the lists of the procedures that are defined in my Visual Studio file, okay? Yes, I canceled. All right, so time to start writing our code and make this work. So how would that go? Well, we can just see I have a very simple one. I have like some, okay. So my recommendation is always to start writing it at the very top so that we don't have to select it every time once we want to copy the code. So I'll type void because this it's not going to return anything. We just want the script. This is going to be, I don't know, number format. Calc group, something like this. Why not? Yeah. So we put a couple parentheses. We'll open the curly bracket, and this will give us like a place to write our script. So the first approach is to just reproduce exactly the same thing with no customization at all, but at least to get the steps to build something. Yeah. So how does this work? You see in the scripts in Tabular Editor, you can type model, and then you have all the options of what you can do to your model. So here, if I write add, you see add calculated table. So we already have all the references. So everything that you can do in Tabular Editor, you can find here in IntelliSense, which is very, very nice. So here we want to add a calculation group. And if we open parentheses, we get good IntelliSense of what we need to provide at this point. We just need the name, so we'll call it just number format. And that's it. And of course, we need to put the semicolon at the end. But of course, now I want to do things with this calculation group, so I need to store that in a variable. And if I look at this, you see it's a calculation group table. Yeah, this is the type that I need. So I can just reuse that, the calculation group table. And now comes the name of my calculation group, like CG equals this. So I can store that in a variable, which is quite nice. Now again, if I have my calculation group, and I type it, then I have add calculation item. Okay, so for the calculation item, what do I need? I need a name, which could be, I don't know, in thousands. Okay, and then I can provide expression here, or I can do it, yeah, I could do it later as well. Okay, so let's start thinking, because actually I will need definitely also the format string, yeah, expression. So we start creating some variables to store stuff. So we have a string, and which is going to be the string calculation item expression, which we saw was just selected measure. Yeah, selected measure. This is the easy one. Yeah. Now we'll type the other one: string ci format string expression. Now, for this one, what we'll do is just go underneath. And since it's going to be a bit long and complex, it's better to write like an @ sign at the beginning and double quotes. Yeah, this will make it a bit smarter for us when we paste something here, because what we're going to do is we go into the tables. Where is it? Units is called here, and we look for the format string expression. Okay, I'm just gonna copy this. Yeah, and I go back to Visual Studio and I'll paste it. Okay, so this looks terrible. I'm gonna just fix. I'll make it easy to read in the code, and I don't worry too much about how it look later because I can fix that. Okay, but for now, this is still, it's gonna refer always to the same measures and everything, but that's okay. Now, we're gonna just add here the expression. We can even like expression, so it's a bit easier to follow. CI expression. You see it even provides IntelliSense for variables, everything. None of this happens if you try to write directly inside Tabular Editor. Yeah, but then I want to define the format string expression of this, so I need to store it in a variable. Then again, calculation. No, that was wrong. Calculation item and a CI equals. Okay, so now I already have a variable. I can reuse it. And I can come here, CI dot format string expression. It's quite easy to find your way once you have good IntelliSense. Yeah, so in this is CI format string expression. Okay, nice. And just to format everything, is just CI dot format DAX. Oh, no DAX. But you see, it picks up very, very fast if there's a variable nobody's using, or if you misspelled something, or here you saw. I didn't mention that, but when I pasted the expression, you see, for example, I had like double quotes around the string, and it made it double for me, so I didn't have to fix that either. Yeah, I wanted to mention that. Okay, so this should be enough to recreate more or less what we had. Yeah, so remember, you need to save, and then you can go back to your Tabular Editor, and then you can go to the model. Right click on it. Come on. There you go. Macros, get macro, and now I go into the first one is you see the number one. Okay, and now I can come here and paste it. So you see the code came straight. I didn't have to fix the tabs or anything, and I can just execute it. And we have a new calculation group that has the in thousands calculation item, and which has the value expression and the format string expression I define. Right? Okay, nice. But this is still not even MVP because we still have hard-coded variables, right? So now it's time to start making this a bit more sophisticated. So we will only execute that if there's some measures selected. So if we start with an if, and then we can refer to the selected measures count equals equals 0. I mean, we can just like stop it, but we can also let the user say error. Select one or more measures and try again. Yeah, I mean, if they execute that from the right click, it's probably never going to happen because we got to select measures. But you never know if somebody's going to try to execute the script directly. And if we reach this point, we put return, which is stopping the execution. Okay. Good. Now, if we reach, oh, here also some semicolon. If we reach this point, we already have measures, definitely. So now what we're going to do, we need to build this. Yeah, this could be n of things. There's many ways of doing it, but the link expressions provide a great way of handling that. So we're going to call this, well, we started in a string, which is going to be the measure list equals, and then we can go to the selected. Well, before that, how should we do that? Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely start with selected measures. Yes. And then there's a link method that is not used commonly, but is the select one. And then as so this is for each measure. Yeah. So this will be for each measure, and then we need to get the measure name, but with the square brackets, no table prefix. Well, this is the m.dax object full name. Yeah, so this is what we'll do. But you see, this is not a string yet. It's sort of like an array of things or a list of things. So now what we're going to do is string.join of all of these things. And then we need the separator is just a comma, and these are the values. Oops, sorry about this. Okay. Yeah. So these are all the different objects which we provide. But is this correct? Well, there is one way we can test things before we get into more. There's an output method that we can, not this one. Output. There you go. If we want to see measure list. And your machine, you don't have, I mean, things go faster when you don't have many applications running at the same time. So for instance, if we have this code, we can see exactly what this measure list is and what happens if I don't have any measure selected. So we can test that we're getting this part right. Okay, we go to macros, we get the macro, yes, and we go back to this script, we select everything and we paste. Okay, so if I try to execute that, directly says, okay, no, you need to select and try again. So, okay, I go into sales and I can select a few measures and now I can run it. And if you see this, we have perfectly our list of measures. as a string now. Okay. And of course it will generate yet another number format calculation group. Okay, that's fine. Let's go back into the Visual Studio. So now we can reuse this part. We can get rid of the output. And okay, and now it's time for replacing this part. Yeah. So the best way of handling that is just typing here string.format. Yeah, which is a function which you provide a string, but you can put placeholders in the string with this, as this, right? With curly brackets 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. And then you just need to provide who goes into which placeholder. So in this case would be the measure list. Okay. Good. So let's save and let's try again. Macros, get macro. Okay. You see each step, I mean, it looks like a few clicks, but the alternative is much, much worse. So now if I select, because otherwise I'll get an error, I select a couple of them. And now I'm getting, yeah, number format 2 is the new one. And if I go into in thousands and I check the expression, well, here I can see it already, but yeah. You see it's indeed using the stores and total cost, which are the measures that I selected. So things are going fine. Now, as you see, we have a big problem with the script because I might need like different measures in different places, and I'm getting a new calculation group each time. This is not sustainable, right? So what we'll do is we'll attach an annotation to the calculation group the first time, and then the second time we'll be able to pick this up. Yeah, but how this plays out, basically we'll set up here a couple of string measures, and we'll call this annotation label. I don't know. I don't have a really good naming pattern for that. Made with, for instance. And now another one, which is called a string. Annotation value equals, there's an O here. Made with number format calc group script, whatever. Okay. So when we create the calculation group, yeah, once we create it, we can add this annotation. So how we do that is cg.set annotation. And you can provide either a number or a label, yeah? So here you see we can also go through the different, you see it could be both strings. So here we'll put the annotation label and annotation value. Very good. Oopa. No, this is not no value. There you go. Good. Now, so we have the annotation, but we're still not checking. How can we keep this? So we want to say if there's a table with that annotation, yeah, because calculation groups are also tables, bring me that table. Otherwise, just create one for me. Yeah. First thing, we'll need to define the measure outside of this if statement that I'm talking about. So I'll just copy this. around here, and I'll initiate that with a null. But we need to cast that as a calculation group as well, otherwise we get some warnings and stuff. So calculation group table, this one. Okay. You see now we're going to get a red line because this is already declared. Okay, I don't need this one anymore. Okay, and now, let's see. How can I check if there's already this model? Well, start model dot tables dot any. Yeah, this is already another link expression. So when you do that, you first declare like a variable, a little bit like Power Query, right? So now T, it will be each of these tables. If there's any that fulfills the condition I'm gonna write now using this T as a variable, which is T dot get annotation. If there's any annotation, if there's any that when I get the annotation label, which and has a value that is equal to the annotation value. Yeah. Well, oh, sorry. This is case sensitive, so you have to annotation label. There you go. Good. No, yeah. Now it's okay. If this is true, that means that we have a calculation group in place. So then what we'll do is CG equals, that's right, equals, and then we'll do a model tables, and then where, which is like to filter all the tables, and we can use exactly the same lambda expression. Yeah, but of course this could technically return more than one, in theory. So here first we'll do like first. But then also we have a problem, which is that, wait a minute, is this all fine? I think I have one more, right? Yeah, this is not needed. Yeah, but here this is a table. Yeah, table, and the other one expects a calculation group table. But that's fine because I know for sure that this will be a calculation group table, so I'll just cast one thing into the other. Calculation wait, I think I'm missing a capital letter. Okay, this is, we'll cast this table, the calculation group table, into this. All right. Now, and if there is none, else, and else we can just put the calculation. Good. Okay, and this goes out. This is all good. Oh wait, what is going on here? Oh yeah, need a semicolon. Perfect. Let's save this and let's check it works. So we go into the model, to the macros. Okay, so I'm getting all of that. Good. And from there, I can now, if I execute it, I do a couple measures and I execute this. Now I get the number format 3, but if I then execute it again with a couple other measures, or execute it again, I'm not getting a number format 4 because it created both calculation items in the same calculation group. And so I don't have any problem with it. Now, I might not like always to call this number format, so how can I let the user choose the name of the calculation group? And that will bring me to explain you more detail what is this other project for. If we go into the other project and have a look at the general functions file, you see that we have a static class called fx. It has some methods, but here they have arguments, so we need to provide things. Here you see this one that's very interesting, get name from user. So it will prompt the user to put something. We could, add that to the main code, because here in the T scripts, if you look around, there are some scripts to do exactly that. Say, okay, if you need some interaction from the user, you can use this. Let me just scroll a little bit so we get code snippets. So wait a minute. Here, user choose name. So you see, but it has like some references, and and you might not remember exactly how it goes, and I don't know, you might not want to do that. So just so you see how it works, if in our script, so we need, if we want to use those functions of the other file, we need to add this line at the very beginning, which will disappear. But when we copy the code, some magic will happen. So now I'll do this. This is just a comment, but here, if we go above, there is an actual reference. So you see there's a general functions is there. So I can use those methods in my code. So here, for instance, where is it? Where is it? I want to let the user choose the name. So only when I'm creating the name, instead of hard coding it here, I want to get a variable string cg name equals to fx dot, and then I get all these methods from the other project and get name from user. So it's quite straightforward. Okay, what's the prompt? Provide a name for the calculation group. Prompt, I don't know, I just skip that. But default response is important because maybe most of the time users are fine with your proposal. So wait, default response, there you go. This could be number format. So you're still, providing, so if somebody just wants to click along, they can still do it, but so if somebody wants to change the name, they can also do it. Okay. What is this? Oh, there's no argument given. Oh, is title required? Oh, I could fix that. Or I could provide something. Okay, and attention. We could switch that to an optional argument or something like this. Okay, now looks happy. But I want you to show what happens when we use these extra functions. So we go here, we copy for the 11th time macros. Okay. So what happens? When I paste here, now I have my code, but you see, after underneath there's all the code from the class is coming as well. Yeah. And I'm not sure this is working exactly as I expected. I don't think this should be here. I don't think so. Okay, I might need to. That's weird. That was working just fine. Okay, anyway, so let me check. Oh, I can't believe this. I fixed that and now it's broken again. So I might have uploaded like a... Okay, this will be fixed. So this will not happen. And this should be... Ah, this is terrible. Okay, and should not be here. I'll have to check what happened. Okay, come on. Good. So anyway, the idea is that it will copy your code and the code of the custom class underneath in a way that it works. Come on. Oh, and yeah, and also this is not necessary because it comes by default with Tabular Editor. So if you specify that, it fails. Okay, now this error is from my side because I didn't select anything. But if I select now this time, oh, I'll get a problem because now since it already finds the calculation group with the tag, it will not ask me for any name because it's not creating any calculation group. So see, I first delete this one and now I create it again. So now it's asking me for the name. So okay, this is okay. So now we have this number format 3, because at the other, I said number format, but it already exists. And then it tried with the 1, tried with the 2, and well, finally with the 3. I could have changed the name and it will pick it up. Will it? Wait a minute, did I change it? No, okay, sorry, I forgot this part. Of course, I need to provide this variable as the name here, okay? Okay, I think I'm running short of time. There was a few other things that I wanted to provide. Let me check how is the best way around that. I'll just copy the code and I'll explain the small differences that are left. Okay. Yeah. Well, I don't know if there's any question. Tom, you can stop me before I run over. I wouldn't want to leave anybody unanswered. You can also reach me on the social networks. Okay, so basically here what I did is also using one of those methods. The one is to choose a string from a list. So I first create a list, copying some snippet code that is already provided as well. And I say, okay, well, yes. Okay. Oh, good. Thank you. Appreciate that. So we have this, we can create a list and then you'll say, and with that you say, okay, let the user choose. So it picks up what's the, and then depending on what he has chosen, then it you can also say, okay, if it chose in millions, then the format string is like this, in thousands is like that. And what I did is, you see, I added another placeholder in the expression and provided, of course, in the also in as an argument. Yeah. Oh, also something we didn't work out is also the calculation item name, which also should reflect what measures and in what format should they be. So basically here I have the measure list So we had the measure list for the expression, but I also here what I did is something very similar, which is another one just with the names of the measure. Yeah, instead of the DAX object full name, just with the x.name for the calculation item name. Yeah, so let's just save this so I can copy it over and show to you the final result, and we'd call it a day. So now I go into macros, get macro. Okay, they're called almost the same, but the first one is the one I want you to show to you. The problem is that it's gonna be, I see. Yeah, I'll have to fix the reference thing because somehow I have the wrong. So the copy, the code that copies the code up and forth, there has some problems on for the references specified in the general functions project, because it needs to combine them both in one place. And I spent like one evening fixing that, then somehow I managed to go back to the wrong one. Okay, and now this doesn't need to be there, and this neither. Okay, let's see if this works. So if I select a couple measures and I execute this, okay, let's prove that this works. So I say like data bash. And now another one says, okay, you want it in millions or in thousands? Say, okay, in millions is fine. And now we have our data bash calculation group here. And it's called in millions. And in parentheses, we have orders and products. And if we go and check the format string expression, we get, come on. We get the correct, so the correct measures, the correct format, and everything. So it's very nice, don't you think? Okay, I'll get this sorted out so that the references get correctly formatted. But other than that, this is how it works. And I hope that you enjoyed the presentation, and I'll leave you with wonderful presentations for the rest of the day. And please check out my social media profiles and scripts and everything, and reach out if you feel so. Oh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.